see what I'm setting it up. You can still see me, right? Because I can't see
I can. Yeah.
I should close some of these windows. All right, let's see. I think we are live. Hold on a second here.
Hello.
It's coming up a little weird, a little wonky. But if we are live, hello everyone. I'm gonna check my phone, Vijay, and see what I can see here. So you do this. Oh, let's see. I'm talking. Okay. All right. It's kind of it's weird the way it's showing up, but let me see if I can get you back on my screen because oh, there you are. Fantastic. We are live on Facebook. Hello, everyone. I am here with Vijay from LA, Vijay Nazareth, and Vijay is one of our clients from LA.
Hi.
Welcome, Vijay. Thank you so much for coming and talking about the very important topic of U.S. citizenship. So I think we met, when did we meet? Like maybe, has it been a year? I
think it was like just after Thanksgiving 2019.
Really?
Or maybe like early 2020.
Okay. So it hasn't really been, no, it has been about a year. It's been about a year.
Been about a year.
So we're here today to talk about Vijay's path to citizenship. And as you guys know, Gardner Mendoza and our law firm and our attorneys, we're all in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're on the East Coast. And Vijay is in sunny California.
LA. Well, I'll prove it to you right now. I'll show you a palm tree if I know it. There's a palm tree up there. Palm trees.
Done. So jealous. So jealous.
There it is.
Freezing cold rain here, as I told you earlier, in Virginia Beach. And I wanted to, so Vijay, as you know, we've had, I told you and why we're having this conversation, but we do have some clients and they come in through our Facebook Live, to which I owe you're the one that recommended that we do that and that we do weekly. Vijay is a creator, he's a director, he's a writer, he's an influencer, bona fide, sitting right here in the flesh. And he has his YouTube channel. It's called AV Bites. So guys, check it out. It's AVBYTES. He doesn't need you guys to subscribe because he does have over 1 million subscribers and 500 million downloads. Am I right about that? Views, 500 million views.
Indeed.
So check it out. Vijay, tell us a little bit about that, because that's just really so interesting to me, because I'm in sort of the boring immigration law world. It's not boring, but it's just not as creative as what you do. Just
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. Well, okay, hi. I love musicals and I make musicals on the internet, and I have a channel called AV Bite and some other brands called Pixel Playhouse as well. And basically all I love musical theater, and I do musical theater on the internet. And most of my day I spend with just my friends and lights and cameras, and we just make videos on the internet. I was just telling Radlin about TikTok, so currently focusing a lot of my attention on TikTok.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out for sure. But so where are you from originally?
I originally born in Italy, originally German and Austrian in terms of nationality, and I've been living in the United States about, gosh, I think it's 11 years now. So this will be I'm coming up on my 11th year, so definitely a decade.
Awesome. In your bio, you say you're half German and you're half Indian.
Yes, my dad's Indian.
Right. Your heart is German is what the bio said. Because you.
Yeah, I'm very German. I have a watch that runs like 5 minutes early, and I'm always like very prepared. My mother was German, so I was raised like with German, discipline.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, so when I read that, okay, half German and my heart is German. So what is the other part of you then? It's part Indian. So describe that part, because you left that part out of your
part. Oh, I don't even know. I don't actually. It's a good question. It's a really good question. I only recently discovered my Indian side. My dad. I was born and raised in Europe. My dad's Indian, which is why I'm called Vijay. And I only went to India for the first time really as an adult in 2018 for like a month. and I got to sort of explore my roots. I'm still doing a lot more of exploring my Indian roots. They're definitely, even though even though I have lots of living relatives in India, I am not as in touch with that half of myself. So been exploring that.
Awesome. Well, that's going to be a fun
You know what I
journey
was going
for.
to say? The other half is American, though, Ratlin. Especially now that I have the American passport. Well, I have to. I don't have the passport yet, but I have my naturalization document. So at least there's that.
Oh, that's, as an immigration lawyer, that's what I love to hear. The other half is American. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the process of citizenship. And I know that there were times when you were kind of worried about your green card and the filing and the green card expiring during this process. Tell us a little bit about it and how it all got resolved. I know that's a kind of a loaded question, but
Right.
we're just gonna have a conversation.
Yeah. So the process going from sort of like initially talking to you and getting everything going to literally, I think last week, the ceremony took about, I'd say, a year. And it was very straightforward. The only times that I was like, stressed about it was only when there was things like, oh my goodness, there was a moment when my green card was expiring, and I reached out to you, was like, hey, and oh, my green card and my driver's license were expiring, and
Right.
it was stressful because during COVID times, I just can't go to speak anyone at the DMV or like, so I was really confused on like, how do I renew my driver's license with these restrictions that the DMV has? And then
Right.
also get my green card and all these different things that were very, like it was a lot on top of each other. But I reached out to you guys. You guys helped me figure it out. I think we ended up, just in case citizenship application would take longer than expected, we decided to renew the green card as well, which happened really quickly. I was surprised by that. So then I was able to get my driver's license renewed really easily. So I could drive around Los Angeles. And then, and then let's see. So other than that, the process was super easy. Like I have to say, and like I'm trying to think of any like other moments I want to sort of highlight. I think it was just a matter of sort of getting all my information together, talking to you guys, making sure all the details about my background, where I'm from, everything's there. And then waiting for my biometrics appointment, which went very smoothly during COVID times. And then waiting for my interview, which you guys prepared me for in person, which was also pretty easy, to be honest, and almost fun. I had a really fun officer, and we chatted and had a good time. And then the ceremony, which was very low key because of COVID times. It was like everything was sort of dominated by this idea of like there's a pandemic going on.
Right. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad that that you got a great officer, because you never know. I mean, I think that a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. This officer is going to be so mean. And I always try to tell my clients, like, look, the officer is trying to give you the benefit. If the officer can give you the benefit, the officer is there to give you the benefit. And I also heard back from another client who interviewed today in San Diego, and she also said, gosh, the officer was amazing. We just had this conversation, and it sounds like you had a similar type of experience.
Yeah, no, it was unfortunately I don't know, I can't remember his name. I wish I remembered his name. I asked for his name as I was leaving out just to remind myself, but then a few days later I didn't. I should have written it down. But no, he was really, really awesome and kind, and explained the process to me. Yeah.
So you reached out to us from the West Coast to the East Coast. Did you have any concerns just about communication, getting documents to us, paying any of the filing fees, or what were some of your concerns, if any?
I don't think I had any concerns, and I think so we started the process maybe just before COVID hit. So the idea of doing so much remotely was not really in any of our minds. But I don't recall having much concerns, especially after speaking to you in person, for the not in person, but like over Zoom, like speaking to you, and then Jacqueline too, over email, sort of like just understanding everything that I had to do. it did not seem, I mean, it seemed like I had to go dig through my files, that seemed the most like, and reach out to my mother and be like, hey mom, do you remember where I have all these documents? But beyond that, it did not seem very concerning in terms of doing it remotely from one state to another, from coast to coast.
Okay, so that's awesome. I like to, we do speak to people all over the country, even all over the world. And some of our clients do have that concern of, okay, how am I going to get documents to you? How am I going to communicate with you? I think everyone knows during this global pandemic that the video chat, the Zoom is always there. We've always been using that even before the global pandemic, just because our clients are from everywhere. But getting the documents, it's pretty seamless with uploading to our folders and things like that. And I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah, and I almost feel like doing things remotely like that, there's more immediate feedback. If I need help like quickly, I remember, for example, the day of, I couldn't remember if my appointment was at 9 a.m. or noonish, and I was able to immediately like reach out to you guys and just confirm that, and by email that would happen like instantly. So stuff like that is just, wonderful.
Okay, well that's a great testimony. I appreciate that. So as I was telling you, we've got Citizenship Day coming up on the 20th, and our law firm is helping people for free to complete their citizenship applications, the N400, the same process that you went through. And we're also doing it through Zoom. For people who are hesitant, I mean, you've been a permanent resident. You were a permanent resident for 11 years before you decided to take the step towards U.S. citizenship. For people who are hesitant in filing and doing this process, what would you say to them?
Like advice wise?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I guess I would say people who think, gosh, I really should do this process, but I don't want to do it because of X, Y, and Z reasons.
right. I think
Yep.
my one advice that I would give myself maybe at the beginning of this was I was definitely that person who put it off until the very last minute. It's much easier than you think. Somehow it's much easier than I thought it was going to be. And it was really just a matter of sort of like communicating with you guys. So find the right people to do this with, and getting all the documents together, and just thinking, with your lawyer, with the people who are helping you, thinking about, where are the weak points and not weak points, but, like where could there be issues, and sort of like trying to understand how to best navigate that.
Awesome, thanks. And so for people who are ready to take that step, would you recommend that they actually just go ahead and prepare and file and do it?
Absolutely. I mean, I would definitely go ahead and find someone like, Radlin to help you. But yes, I mean, I don't think there's any reason not to. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't wait till after the pandemic or for any reason wait at all, for sure.
Awesome. I think that for you, I think that the pain, maybe it was not a pain point at that point, but you were looking at your card like, this card's about to expire, right? Maybe I should just go ahead and apply for citizenship so I don't have to renew this card. I mean, that is one big benefit of being a U.S. citizen. You don't have to worry about that green card anymore every 10 years. That's one thing. And voting.
It's like there's small things. I mean, like not to get too weird about here, but like I've never gotten in trouble with the law. Never gotten in trouble with the law. But to know that in case I ever do, for example, I was during COVID times, I drove my girlfriend to the doctor a couple of days ago. This is after I passed the naturalization and like test and then got my oath. I drove my girlfriend to the doctor and was waiting outside because she doesn't want to go to an Uber, right? So I drove her, and I was waiting on the street, finding some parking, and I sort of parked somewhere, and then there was like, like definitely some kind of police activity. And there was a moment in me, like there's for the last decade, I've always been like, I don't really want to get like even though I know I didn't do anything, part of me never wanted to sort of like risk anything, just in case something happens. And sometimes you open up your news feeds and you hear like horror stories of how people, even with green cards, would have like all kinds of strange things. And so it was kind of a nice feeling to know, like, hey, like even if they decide to like, even if I get in trouble here or something, which again, I was just waiting for my girlfriend to leave the office, nothing, like I belong, and that was a wonderful feeling. So I basically wish I'd done this earlier, because that feeling is so wonderful and so freeing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's true. That's so true. A lot of times people would say, "Oh, you need to become a U.S. citizen so you can vote and you can, work for the federal government and sit on a jury." They say all
Right.
these things. I always say, "You need to become a U.S. citizen so you don't get deported." That's
Right.
that's what I
And
say.
it's like,
That's number one. That's the number one thing I say. Or removed from the United States. I mean, you talk about horror stories. And I think that the one thing why I'm just such a big pusher of people applying for U.S. citizenship as permanent residents, and if they've been here for a long time, they're not going anywhere. Um, is I had one of those horror stories as just a young attorney, and my client got deported, and there was nothing I could do about it because based on her history, and it was devastating. It was just devastating for me to know that I couldn't do anything. And had her mom filed for citizenship and gotten U.S. citizenship while she was under the age of 18, then she would have actually derived citizenship from her mom. And this woman came here when she was 2 years old, and
oh
she
wow.
and she got deported back. She had 4 children here, and it was gut wrenching for me as a young attorney. And that's when I started volunteering with Citizenship Day and really just trying to push citizenship on people. And then more times in my career, I just saw that with my colleagues, and they had their long-term permanent residents getting deported from the United States, separated from their families just for really dumb things. I mean, these are not crimes of the century. These are just things like you talk about, like, you just peace of mind. I mean,
Peace of
it's
mind is really what it is. Peace of mind. Yeah.
peace of mind. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful feeling, as you said. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I think that you had already mentioned that the immigration officer was friendly. I think another thing that our clients worry about, and prevents them from filing, is the actual test and getting tested. Getting tested is a trigger point for so many people who just hate taking tests. And it's not, I didn't grow up with this history and this civic, so I'm not going to be able to memorize it. So can you talk a little bit about how you prepared for that and study for that, and what it was like?
Sure. The test actually was the easiest part. And I'll say why in a moment. But yeah, preparing for the test is very simple. I mean, there's so many resources on the internet. You can just Google that have, like, there's flashcards. I had my girlfriend sort of test me with the flashcards like once or twice, and I watched some YouTube videos, and it was very, very, very simple. And there's stuff that I definitely didn't know. There was stuff that I asked other Americans, my friends, who they didn't know, like, so it was kind of fun. And so I turned into a game, like I in my quarantine pod, it's my girlfriend and her brother. And, I would go through the flashcards and ask them, what's this, like, for example, like, how many people are there in the House of Representatives? And then they would, guess, or how many amendments are there, and stuff like that. And, and then I would correct them because usually they'd be wrong. Um, However, what I found more challenging? It was like not the test on, like, the, on US history and sort of that test, more the test on, like, my own life. When I was doing my prep interview with Dominic, he was like, I answered some questions about my own life wrong. For example, things like, when did I live here, or my previous addresses, or
Right.
what are the dates of when I worked here and there. And those for me were the hardest. And he advised me, like, you should go through your stuff and just make sure you sound like yourself, just so you know the dates of when you lived where. Because I always forget, like, even like 3 years ago, I don't know what I did 3 years ago. Well,
Right.
so, like, going through all that was for me almost like the harder part to figure out. And do you want to hear one small hiccup and funny story about my interview?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the first question he asked me, it was like, what's your legal name? And there was, so apparently, and this goes back to when I got my green card like a decade ago, there was this weird, something happened with my legal name on my green card and all my American paperwork that is not actually my legal name. So I have two middle names.
On your
And my, sorry?
on your birth certificate?
Yes, on my birth certificate and on my passport at the time, my German passport. But my green card and all my American citizenship, like all my other paperwork, as I had only one middle name. So he found, like, he's very thorough, and so I answered with just one middle name, but then he was like, that's incorrect, because I had never gone through like a name change. And then he sort of dug deeper and he realized, somewhere in you getting your green card, like a decade ago, someone forgot to put your second name in there.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense, because I've been confused as to why my green card only has one middle name and not everything. So officially he was like, you want to rename yourself? And I said, can I rename myself to my original name in my, birth certificate? And he's like, no problem. So that was a fun one. Huh?
Did you have to do a name change?
Well, technically I did, yes. So he was like, we can correct this. He, like, on the spot. He was, again, I had a really, we were getting along. So he was like, I can make sure that you're, from now on forwards, I can, if somewhere in immigration there was a mistake with my name, I can recorrect that if there's a name change. And I was like, please just take the name that's on I would love to go by all my names that were given to me at birth.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was in the moment of the actual like interview, a small, like, that was the only moment, like, it was like, what's your full name? And then I say my name, and then he's like, really? Because your passport and your birth certificate say something different. And I'm like, well, my green card says this. And he's like, what's going on over here? And then he went through all this paperwork. It's interesting.
Well, I'm glad that it got taken care of at the interview. That's great that he was able to pick up on that and then add the name, do the name change.
Yeah, that was fun. It was
Because
fun.
That does happen sometimes, like on the green card, if there's, I don't know why. I should ask one of my immigration officer colleagues why sometimes that name does not appear on the green card. Maybe it's too long, or it gets cut off, or in the system, they only do a couple of the names. But that happens. That definitely happens.
Definitely, yeah. He said that too. Like, this is not the first time he ever saw that happen. And yeah.
Cool. Well, Vijay, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you.
Great talking to you. And I want to thank you again for just your help with the stuff that we're doing with the video, and your advice to me however many months ago was like, find a nice spot in your office with a lot of light shining through and just do a video. Just do one every week. So we didn't really go back to our office after that conversation, but I did find a nice place in my house, and
Nice.
we've been doing our Facebook Lives for about a year now, since we talked. So I appreciate all your help, your guidance, and you guys who are watching, check out AV Bytes, AVBYTES, and if you want to see some very creative writing and directing and singing in musicals, it's awesome. We love it. And I just showed my daughter because she's really getting the musicals right now too.
Oh, very cool. That's
yeah,
awesome.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Radlin.
if you need anything, please reach out.
You're awesome.
Thanks, Vijay.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.